Let's have a quick talk about tempo, unless you'd prefer a slow talk. The tempo, or speed of music, gives us a lot of information. Unfortunately, that information is often buried under, well, a lot of Italian. The principles of tempo are remarkably, well, basic. Our relationship to rhythm is instinctive. It makes bits of our bodies move, often without us even realising. And that's because we've been taught rhythm before even being born. We enter life pre-packaged with a sense of rhythm that comes from our mother's heartbeat, and indeed her walking speed. A steady walking pace equates to a heartbeat of 90 beats per minute and a steady tempo. Faster music means brisk walking, even running, and a heart rate of 120 BPM or over. And at the other end of the spectrum, slow tempo music matches with a rather unhealthy BPM of 60 or lower, and the kind of slow walking pace that really gives you time to examine your life's choices. Now, this doesn't just apply to classical music. All music follows these three tempos, slow, medium or fast, and that straight away gives us valuable emotional information. Medium tempo music is measured, restful, calm. At slower tempos, the music becomes sadder, bluer, more sombre, more introspective. Fast tempos mean excitement and exhilaration, but also anxiety and stress. Applying these simple ideas to classical music, we need to add an Italian filter. Why? Because music's earliest rules and usages were established in Renaissance Italy over 500 years ago. So, attenzione, starting with a medium pace, andante is the most common tempo. Mozart, delivering a perfectly restful, steady andante. The word derives from Italian andare, to go. It literally means at walking pace. The only other medium tempo word you need is moderato, which is just a bit quicker, but only moderately. The clue's in the word. We speed things up most commonly with allegro and a brisk pace. Faster means tempos like vivace, meaning lively, and presto, which is proper fast. Beethoven brings his final Ninth Symphony to an end prestissimo, which means very, very fast, which of course he does. The most common slow speed is adagio. Barber's adagio for strings. Albinoni's adagio. Yes, this is the speed at which you may die in a Vietnam film and still have time to examine your life's choices. Again, the expressiveness of the Italian language gives you all the clues you need for these slower tempos, with terms like largo or lento or the very serious sounding grave. Now, this is useful knowledge, more than just learning Italian words. The genres of classical music, like the symphony and the concerto, evolved around using different tempos for each movement. The symphony, for example, classically takes the form of a first movement in a reasonably fast tempo, allegro is normally a man, then a second slow movement, next a third movement associated with dance, usually a minuet, at a faster tempo to the second slow movement, and finally a faster final movement. Notice how each of the tempos contrasts against its neighbour. The concerto has exactly the same structure, but removes the symphony's third movement. And while we're here, let's just nod our heads wisely at that connection between the word movement and tempo. An entire movement doesn't have to remain at a single tempo the whole time, but a movement's tempo is really useful for understanding that movement in its entirety, and also how it relates to the rest of the piece. So, let's try this out. I'm going to take a totally random Haydn symphony, and there's over 100 to choose from, to see what happens. Okay, random number generator, and I get 78. I have to admit, I don't know Symphony 78 by Haydn, and I really hope this works, as I promised myself to stick to whatever number gets chosen. Symphony 78, opening movement. Vivace. Okay, faster than the usual allegro, but I'll take that. Now should come the slow movement, and sure enough, we have adagio. Third movement, quicker than the slow, and in dance form, a minuet and trio. All good so far? And finally, hooray! A faster still final movement. Presto! Fastest of the whole piece. The entire rhythmic template of an entire symphony kinda predicted before hearing a single note. So, remember, tempos aren't just strange words from a strange land. They tell you large-scale things about the structure of the music, particularly with those classic genres like the Concerto and the Symphony. They are useful road signs for negotiating what can often seem like strange lands. Indeed, tempos tell us the most important characteristic of a movement, and they do it before the movement's even begun. Next video I'm going to look at some works that break those rules, but meanwhile, please like and subscribe.